The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Tuesday, July 22nd, indicate that Nick Maroon will make a great gesture for Brooke Logan, while Ridge Forrester's jealousy explodes. Now that word has spread about Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery, there's nothing stopping a fantastic trip to Italy. That's why Eric Forrester will give a huge speech insisting that the trip is still on. Eric will exaggerate how much fun they will have and discuss all of the exciting opportunities that await them. Eric knows that Ridge and Brooke should reconcile, so he'll drop a few more hints about it. However, Nick has been pressuring Brooke to join him in Italy, so that they can combine business and pleasure. Nick will make a grand gesture in Tuesday's B&B episode, as he attempts to persuade Brooke that this is a good idea. Nick's romantic efforts appear to have Brooke swooning and questioning if starting a new chapter with him is the correct decision. Part of Brooke will be lured by the prospect of a fresh start with someone who will not reject her like Ridge. Ridge's jealousy will flare out when Brooke informs Eric and Ridge that Nick is also traveling to Italy. Nick and Ridge are already at odds, and Brooke's information will only make Ridge angrier. Ridge will not want Nick around when they travel to Naples and Capri, but Nick will undoubtedly be included in this Italy vacation. Some special episodes are coming up that will bring Brooke closer to Nick, but don't rule out Ridge and his own love story with Brooke just yet. Ridge will continue to put off a reunion with Brooke for the time being, but it is clear that he still wants her. Ridge will need some Italy shockers to grasp this, so don't miss out on the twists and turns ahead. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Eric will continue to play matchmaker for Brooke and Ridge in the meantime, so stay tuned to find out how he will insist they are in the endgame. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Sheila Sharp just provided an ominous clue that could point to Deacon Sharp's wife going off the rails. In the July 14th episode, Sheila took some time to wallow in her sadness now that Luna Nozawa had left. Sheila was in a bad mood as she tried to comprehend the news of Luna's death. Despite Sheila's best efforts, she was unable to prevent Luna from causing further chaos. Sheila couldn't help but love Luna after discovering their true familial link, but it wasn't enough to save her. During a chat, it felt as if a small bit of her died with Luna. That could be a very ominous hint, depending on where B&B writers want to take Sheila's storyline next. Sheila is clearly feeling guilty about how things turned out for Luna. All of Sheila's regrets could have a negative impact on her mental health. What if the part of Sheila that died with Luna is the one that has kept her on the correct path? Sheila could be on the edge of a downward spiral, which could land her back in evil territory. The show attempted to give Sheila a redemption storyline, but most of us did not ask for one. Sheila is most effective when she is causing problems, thus it may be beneficial to see her revert to negative conduct. Deacon and Sheila's marriage has been on solid ground for a while, but could Sheila fall into a dark place and eventually start making some twisted moves again? Maybe John Finnegan and Steffy Forrester will find new reasons to worry about Sheila sooner or later. Sheila may at least represent a threat to Lee Finnegan's secret plot, causing drama in the process. Sheila may eventually figure it out, as it appears that Lee faked Luna's death as part of a scheme. That is the type of thing that could lead to more conflict between Sheila and Lee in the future, so keep an eye out for updates on any upcoming heated confrontations. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Sheila's character may return to a disturbing route, laying the groundwork for some unexpected twists. CTS is the place to go for the best bold and the beautiful spoilers, updates, and news, so come back often for more. The early morning sunlight poured in through Forrester Creations' tall windows, leaving soft golden streaks on the polished floors. Brooke Logan sat in the meeting room, her fingers softly scrolling over concepts for the upcoming collection. Her focus was not entirely on the designs, however. Not today. Not with everything bubbling just beneath the surface. The fashion house was buzzing as usual, but there was a strange current in the air. An undercurrent of tension, passion, and perhaps a hint of danger. Everything came down to one man's grand gesture, and another's simmering jealousy. Nick Maroon, ever the rogue with a heart of gold, had returned to Los Angeles 2 weeks prior. His appearance had been unexpected. Brooke hadn't seen him in months, since their quiet lunch in San Francisco, when they parted with nothing but warm smiles and half-spoken regrets. But he was back, and this time he was not disguising his intentions. He was here for her, and he was making it clear with every stolen glance, lingering touch, and charming word that his heart was still hers. Brooke was at first unsure what to make of it. Nick had a habit of entering and exiting her life like a storm, passionate yet unpredictable. Still, this time seemed different. His eyes were steadier, and he stood more resolutely in front of her. She hadn't said much out loud, but a part of her, a very real part, was beginning to wonder what life would be like if she chose him. If she finally closed the door on Rich Forrester and all of his heartbreak. Rich felt tense as soon as he learned about Nick's homecoming. Rich initially dismissed it with casual arrogance and mockery. But the facade began to break swiftly. It was one thing for Brooke to be chased. It was quite another to be pursued by a man who had once been a legitimate rival for her heart. A man she had adored. A guy who knew how to reach the corners of her soul, which Rich had wounded far too many times. When Rich came into the meeting room that morning, he could feel something. The change. Brooke looked up and smiled when she spotted him, but her grin was not as dazzling as it had previously been. He noticed that her laughter lately seemed lighter, softer, and less burdened by the drama of their shared history. He also noticed the fresh bouquet of pink lilies on the side table, which was her favorite. He didn't have to ask who sent them. "Nice flowers," Rich murmured, his voice low and sarcastic. Brooke gazed at him steadily, pushing a piece of hair behind her ear. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" He moved further into the room, arms folded across his chest. "Let me guess. Nick. Does it matter?" she inquired, her voice calm yet distant. Ridge's jaw tensed. "Of sure it matters. You understand what he's doing." "Maybe I do," Brooke said, closing the folder in front of her. "And maybe I'm tired of pretending I don't enjoy it." Ridge realized things were changing faster than he could control. For decades he and Brooke had danced this convoluted, torturous waltz of passion, betrayal, forgiveness, and heartache. However, some unspoken law constantly drew them back together. What about now? Brooke wasn't waiting for him to fix everything. She was not pining. She was standing still, and Nick was approaching her. That night, Nick invited Brooke to the marina. He didn't say much in his invitation except that he wanted to show her something. She hesitated at first, but finally her curiosity got the best of her. As the sun set beyond the horizon, coloring the sky lavender and rose, she came to find Nick standing on the deck of a beautifully repaired yacht. Her name was etched in gold on the side. Destiny. Brooke gave a gasp. "Nick, what is this?" He smiled, his eyes crinkled at the edges. "You once told me you hated how Ridge used that word like a leash. But I believe fate is something you choose, not something that traps you." She stared at the boat and then at him. "You did this for me?" "I did," he answered. "Because I am done running. I'm done hiding. This is my way of expressing that I still believe in us. And if you are ready, I am right here." She felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. For years she had begged Ridge to fight for her, to be the man she required. But Ridge always fought in circles, driven by jealousy, ego, and control. Nick, on the other hand, was providing her something unique. Honesty, vulnerability, and hope. The evening faded into darkness and they sat on the deck, wrapped in a blanket, sipping wine and listening to the sea lap softly against the hull. Brooke laughed harder than she had in months, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel the weight of expectation pressing against her chest. She just felt free. However, the world of the Forresters was never quiet for long. The next day, Ridge raced into Brooke's office, his eyes blazing. "You spent the night on that damn boat with him?" Brooke looked at him with an unreadable expression. "Yes." His voice lowered, angry. "He is manipulating you. Do you know that? He doesn't love you. He only wants to win." Brooke stood with her voice firm. "No, Ridge. You don't get to say that. Not after everything we've gone through." Nick did not make promises only to break them repeatedly. "You did. He didn't disappear whenever things got tough. You did. He's here. He is showing up. Maybe I deserve it now." Ridge took a step back, stunned by her words. He recognized that this was more than simply a flirtation or a fling. Brooke was serious. Worse, she might be falling for Nick again. Ridge's jealousy spread to every aspect of his life over the course of the following week. He shouted at coworkers, barked commands, and questioned every design that came out of the office. Thomas and Steffi exchanged concerned glances several times, but no one dared to confront him directly. Meanwhile, Nick and Brooke became closer. It wasn't hasty, It was deliberate. Long walks on the beach, late-night phone calls, and quiet dinners where they discussed their children, regrets, and goals. Nick did not attempt to sweep her off her feet. He simply stood at her side. Brooke found herself opening up to Ridge in ways she hadn't done in years. She expressed her dissatisfaction with often being the second choice. Ridge would flee back to Taylor at the first sign of trouble, only to return months later. Nick listened, really listened, and never attempted to defend Ridge's behavior. Then came the gala. It was a Forrester Creations charity event, and everyone from Los Angeles society was in attendance. Brooke arrived alone, dressed in a gorgeous emerald gown that shimmered as she moved. Ridge was taken aback when he spotted her as soon as she walked in. She appeared radiant. But as he approached her, Nick appeared, suited, confident, and devastatingly attractive. He extended his hand, and she accepted it without hesitation. They danced and the entire room watched. Ridge stood near the bar, drink in hand, staring at them as they moved across the floor as if they were meant to be together. Every pirouette, every glance between them wore away at his resolve. His jealousy, which had previously simmered, was now boiling just beneath the surface. Ridge took advantage of the opportunity when Brooke excused herself to use the restroom. He confronted Nick near the terrace. "This is over now," Ridge growled. Nick lifted his eyebrow. "What ends? This is the game you are playing with Brooke. You do not love her. You only want to get under my skin." Nick moved a step closer. "This is not about you, Ridge. It never was. Brooke is not a treasure to be thrown around. She is a woman who deserves more than broken promises and conditional love." Ridge clutched his fists. "You think you're better for her?" "I don't just think it," Nick explained. "I know. And perhaps she feels the same way deep down." The comments fell like a punch, and Ridge had to move away before saying anything he couldn't take back. Later that evening, Brooke stood on the balcony overlooking the city, the wind tugging on her hair. Nick joined her, his presence a calming force beside her. "You okay?" he inquired. She nodded slowly. "I think I'm finally starting to see things clearly." Nick did not press. He did not ask her to make a choice. He merely waited. And that's when Brooke concluded she'd had enough of men who made her doubt her value. She was done wishing Ridge would become someone he wasn't. Maybe love wasn't supposed to be chaotic and heartbreaking. Perhaps it was intended to be consistent, polite, and daring. As fireworks exploded over the skyline, Brooke sought for Nick's hand. Not as a sign of revolt, not as a placeholder, but as an option. A real one.